Hi! Welcome back to my channel, The Divine Mind. It's day-oyabunmi. Thank you for joining me today. So today I am posing the question, what is in your spiritual toolkit? I absolutely believe that every spiritualist, every person who's focused on raising their consciousness and aligning with their higher mind should absolutely have a toolkit, okay? And this spiritual toolkit should be full of items and practices which help you to do just that, which help you to align, which help you to receive divine messages and things like that, right? So today I wanted to share some of the things, some of the items and practices I have in my own spiritual toolkit. And I want to provide you with some ideas of how you can make your own spiritual toolkit more robust. All right? Excellent. If you're interested in a personal reading, if you're interested in Ifa-Orisa related ebooks, online trainings, an ebook on how to read tarot intuitively, check out my website, daydreamaustin.com. Okay? All right, great. There's 2 points I want to speak to first before we speak about what's in my toolkit. And one of the things that you need to absolutely be aware of is that everything begins and ends with your intention and will when it comes to spirituality. So often with religion and spirituality, we feel called to look outside of ourselves for salvation, for help, for support. But the divine consciousness, right, the great creator, has endowed us with so much power. We all come here with different gifts and, unique abilities that we can use to manifest beautiful things. Everything you see around me was created by the human mind, and you have the ability to create beautiful things as well. So, with all of your spiritual tools and practices, the thing to keep in mind is they are powered by your intention and your will. Okay? So, you can pick up a rock, a stone that you find on the street. And if your will and intention is strong enough, you can infuse that stone with divine energy because it's all up and through you. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, when it comes to your spiritual toolkit, you want to go towards practices and things that feel right to you. Okay, some of the things in my toolkit won't work for you or won't resonate with you, and that's okay. So focus on those things you feel drawn to because some people won't feel drawn to everything. For instance, I feel like in this incarnation, in this lifetime, water is a great ally for me. So I work with water a lot. Every day, like a weirdo, I'm speaking to water. I'm infusing water with divine intention. That might not call to you. Maybe fire calls to you. Maybe nature calls to you, or something completely different. But when you're building your spiritual toolkit, of course, you'll probably take notes from other people and start to build it that way. But then pay attention to what is calling to you, what is drawing you in. Okay? Great. So now let's look at what is in my toolkit. So you'll see me looking to the side because I have my notes here. All right. So there are 3 different focuses I'm going to discuss with my toolkit. So the first is cleansing. I like to have an arsenal of items and practices I use to cleanse my space, to energetically clear my space. Because as you know, life can be tricky and hard. And sometimes there's a lot of like dense energy that we pick up throughout the day. Dense energy can settle in a space after, really hard times and things like that. So, what I use for my cleansing is number one, because I told you, my ally, right? Holy water. I have created my own holy water infused with divine intention of clearing a space, okay? So, I don't use any special prayer. I truly believe in prayers from the heart being powerful. So I create this holy water, I put it in a spray bottle, and I walk away around and clear my space, okay? So that's one of my cleansers for my space. Another one, and one of my favorites, is this dragon's blood resin. I love the smell of dragon's blood. But dragon's blood is a really good thing to smoke, right? To use to smoke out a place, because it literally is like an energetic detox. Like, it gets rid of a lot of dense, heavy, negative energy, dispels negativity. So that's another one of my cleansers that's in my spiritual toolkit. Okay, so the second part is connection and divination. So these are the tools that I use for connection with the divine and divination. So the first one that I'll talk about that I use for connection is my ancestor space. So my ancestor space is in the back of the house, and there is where I have pictures set up of my ancestors and honorary ancestors, which are non-blood related ancestors. I also have some of their favorite items there, or items that belong to them. And then I'll put my offerings there, and that's the space where I can go, sit, and commune with them and speak to them, ask for guidance, ask for help, meditate if I want, and things like that. So I think that's a great thing to have in terms of connecting with your divine court, your ancestors and the like. Okay, some other items that I have for divination specifically are my pendulum. My beautiful pendulum was made by one of my close friends. She made, handmade this for me. This is a great way to ask yes or no questions. For those of you who are not sure how to work with a pendulum, just quickly, you would get a pendulum. You can buy one online, right? Amazon sells them. You want to pray over it, cleanse it in whatever way you prefer to spiritually cleanse things. And then you can ask the pendulum to show you your yes and no. And it showed me that pulling to the right is my yes. It showed me my no and my inconclusive. So now I have faith, right, through my divination practices, that when I go and I have a yes or no question, I can direct the question to my high mind, my divine consciousness, and get a yes, no answer or an inconclusive answer from my pendulum. So that's one of the things in my spiritual toolkit for divination. I also have, y'all know, anybody who watches me know that I love the tarot, honey. And this is definitely, I have so many decks. It's like one deck. I could pull out 10 more decks, right? Right where I am. But this is definitely one of the tools in my spiritual toolkit. And I sit down every week and I'll do a reading for the week. I'll do a pull and see what is coming, what's coming into my life, what I need to watch out for, and what ways do I need to refine my character, because I could be a hot mess, So these are things I got to check in with regularly. Yeah, and then it's good for showing you like things that may be going on with your close loved ones and family and friends. It's just really helpful. So I love having this as part of my toolkit. So those are some of the things that I use for divination. Okay, and there's much more. I do I Ching. That's a system I'm learning and playing around with. I've created my own divination systems, charms, and things like. I just love divination. I also am familiar with divining with the Orisha, with kola nut, right? Because that's a divination practice and things like that. So this section I'm calling reset. So what are the tools that are in your spiritual toolkit to help reset your energy, to balance your energy? For me, number one is prayer. That's always going to be number one. There's times where I'm having a really difficult start to the day, and I go sit at my ancestor space where my Orisha are as well. And sometimes I'll walk out of there and just feel so much better, right? So that's number one. Number two for me, in terms of my toolkit for resetting, is meditation. I used to hate meditation. I just did not see the purpose and the point, because I would see people like, oh, when I meditate, I see light. I feel myself floating, all this. And I was like, I'm not having none of those experiences. But now I can't go multiple days without sitting in meditation. It's just such a great way to clear the mind, to stop, to just be. And you can also use that time as a time of visualization, right? It's just really, really helpful. I could not see my life without it, really. Also, another way to reset for me is sound healing. So I use the binaural beats that you can find those on YouTube. There's different frequencies, right, that can help you feel different ways or tune into different energies. So I use those. I also use a sound bowl that I have here myself. I'll strike it, or even a bell. Sometimes it helps to reset the frequency in a space, and you can do that with sound, you know? And lastly, journaling. I talk about journaling all the time. I love journaling. It's a great way to kind of get all of the jumbled thoughts out of your head. And sometimes seeing it on paper is really helpful. And then you can also come up with solutions, okay? So, in terms of you building up your spiritual toolkit, you want to go towards those things that feel right for you, all right? That's first and foremost. Like, what calls to you? For instance, if you're interested in Ifa-Orisa practice, right? I have an online training and an ebook on how to connect with your Ori, your own high consciousness. It said that we have a heavenly double. There is a higher minded replica of ourselves in the unseen realms that we can connect with. And the ultimate goal for me is to align with that and then be my full expression here on the planet. But that's a tool that you could use if you're interested in learning more about aligning with that part of yourself. My Ori training or ebook is really helpful. I also have an intro to Ifa-Orisa masterclass where I go through all of the most important aspects of Ifa-Orisa tradition from the Isheshe perspective and from an outsider's perspective. You know, I'm not someone who was born in Yoruba land. I was born here, you know, in the United States, in the hood, where it wasn't nobody think about none of that, you know? So I wanted to create a masterclass that could be really helpful to people who are interested in this, right? I've also published an ebook, and it comes with a video on how to read tarot intuitively. So this is another, like, I have resources on my site that can help you build your toolkit, not just of physical items, but you have to have practices, right? And I love that ebook and that video because I really just went through and gave demonstrations and everything about how I learned to intuitively tap in and tune in and read tarot accurately, you know? And I have an Oshe Ifa handbook, which teaches you how to go to your Ifa and work with your Ifa if you're initiated or have hand of Ifa. And lastly, I have an ebook on kola nut divination. If you have Orisha icons or Ifa, you know, Rumila, it's so helpful to have knowledge of how to cast kola nut because you can cast kola nut to your Orisha, but also feed them with it. So those are some of the things I offer to help you become self-empowered and build up your spiritual toolkit. And I'm going to continue adding more and more as I go along in life. And I suggest that you do the same, okay? As long as you're alive, keep finding ways to add to your spiritual repertoire. You know, like it'll just be so helpful. You can't go wrong. Thank you so much for watching today, and I will see you next time. Ashe. Hey, if you're interested in a personal tarot reading, an Ifa reading, a Ifa-Orisa reading, if you're interested in Ifa-Orisa online trainings, ebooks, even an ebook on how to read tarot intuitively, or my Patreon, check out my website, daydreamalston.com, or the description box below. And please don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Ashe.